that 5 to 9's a sprint. Home, dinner, bath time. And then you guys still do homework now that I got a 6-year-old. There's other things you got to do.
But once you have kids and become a dad, now you're not giving away extra time of yours, you're taking away time from the family.
20 years ago, my dad started Performance Financial, and he always put that clock as the O in the middle of performance. Last year, I finally asked, I said, hey, why is there even a clock in the logo in the first place? And he said, so 20 years ago, my dad started Performance Financial, and he always put that clock as the O in the middle of performance. And I never thought to ask as an 8-year-old kid, because why would anyone ask why there's a clock in the logo? You just assume
That's right.
He always has been. And so I think last year I finally asked, I said, hey, why is there even a clock in the logo in the first place? And he said, well, it's because time is the only asset you can't buy more of. So we've always been a financial services organization, tax, accounting, insurance, financial advisory. And I thought, why have we never told anyone? And why has no one asked? In 20 years, people have seen the logo and they've just assumed that this is a performance organization ready to perform on their behalf, but nobody thought to even ask what the whole point was of the clock and the logo. And he never even really truly thought to market it, or that it was a linchpin conversation that we should be having with our clients. So as I've gotten older, we've just now had our 4th child, and I'm starting to realize that truly the only thing you can't buy more of is time, and it is the hardest asset to find. I don't have a lot of money, but I've seen people with lots of money, and I've seen that the more money you have, you would think it would buy you more time. It's been the exact opposite for a lot of those people, because they're always chasing, that other, let's call it an idol, whether it's money or status or the next, business goal. Yeah, exactly. So now that, we're reframing where we're at and through what our services are, we're trying to really focus on buying people their time back, right? That's all we do, is we provide enough of a service to where we can just redefine where they spend their time throughout the day. Nobody likes admin tasks. Nobody likes bookkeeping, payroll, all the ugly parts that are required in business. People would rather just go do. So we're just trying to reframe that to where let's invest our time wisely, not only in the sense of business, but in the sense of the whole body. So we've been working through it, and I know that you're training for, what are you training for? Triathlon. Hey, I don't even think I introduced you.
Hello, world.
Hello, world. Hey, guys. So my name is Sean Kirby with Performance Financial. Welcome to the Invest Your Time Wisely podcast. Today, I'm joined with TR. TR is my outsourced chief marketing officer, my full-time bro, a dad, a business owner, and a guy that I would say is on this podcast because we're both trying to figure out how to invest our time wisely every single day. So we came together. He was part of this big brand shift in our office in the last 12 months-ish, built our website, helped us reframe our entire brand around what we really want to try to do for our clients. And so I'm going to pass this off to TR. TR, tell us a little bit about how you got here today, not how you drove here or the traffic along the way, but talk me through.
Push the button, steer the wheel, drive the car. No, I think any business owner will understand the challenge of you reach a certain scale where your effort isn't going to take it to the next level. Like you've hit that point where your effort maxes out what the business is capable of. And we met sort of through a synchronicity of joining the local chamber and having conversations there. But I landed a giant contract at the time. What does this mean tax-wise? How do I manage this? I'm dealing with the issues of check doesn't come in for 60 days after finishing the work. I got to pay subcontractors in the minimum. So Performance Group and Sean helped me look at a lot of those. We've changed the way we've done our contracts. We've changed some way we handle our expenses and paying contracts. We got new systems in place, and we've been able to handle a lot of that. So you've helped me invest my time wisely. We're not there perfect yet. Never will be. But I think the reason for being here today is to try to help more people figure out on that journey of building a business, how do you invest your time wisely while managing the growth of a business with the demands of a family at the same time?
100%. So I was writing an article for Rough Notes magazine, which is actually based out of here in Carmel. And they are like a large scale national newspaper, or I guess magazine, for the insurance industry. So that's one of our business models. And I wrote this article. It was called it was really popular on like Instagram and stuff right now. It's like, it's your 5 to 9 after your 9 to 5. Mm-hmm. And when I was sitting and I was writing it, and I was thinking about like the early stages of my life, when I first got into business, you had a lot more bandwidth in your 5 to 9, right, after your 9 to 5, to where you could just like sprint out work.
Tons of it.
You could grind out those extra phone calls, those extra emails, that extra prospecting, that extra, that the stuff that you don't really have in that 5 to 9 when you're or 9 to 5 when you're working with clients. And now that I've gotten older, and I'm sure you're in the same boat, but like that 5 to 9 is a sprint, because it's home, bath time, no, bedtime, bath time. I'm doing this wrong. Home, dinner, bath time. And then you guys still do homework now that I got a 6-year-old. There's other things you got to do. I will tell you, this is the funniest, saddest, cutest story. So yesterday, again, we go softball game, straight into, I'm trying to get everybody home, just grab Taco Bell real quick, got everybody fed, tell my wife on the way home, hey, I forgot to tell you I got Bible study at 7. She goes, no, you don't. I said, I do. I'm sorry. So we get everybody dropped off. I get 3 of my kids to sleep by 7:30. And then I'm sitting in my Bible study, and Casey sends me a picture. And my daughter, Ruby, she's in the background somewhere here. She's my oldest. She's my brightest. She wants to be a dentist. She gets nothing but good grades. She gets her A's. She cares way more than I ever have cared about school. My wife sends me this picture, and it's a 4 out of 10 spelling test. F.
It's me.
And then right in the little corner, it says, great handwriting. And I looked at that, and I text Casey. I said, I can't believe it. But I know that I didn't work on it with her last week. So Casey said she was going to frame it and keep it, because when she is a dentist someday, we'll be able to show her only F that she's ever gotten.
Yeah.
So I think that goes to say, like, the balance, I use quotation marks, like the balance of being perfect at all of it all the time, the more you add in that 5 to 9 period, stuff does slip, and you just got to redirect quick and say, we'll be better next week. But that's business, right? In general, like, it's all about getting that feedback loop. You're one of those people that you're really good about making sure you've got a great feedback loop throughout the process. So why don't you tell me a little bit about what it's like, feedback loop wise at home, and then the difference between the feedback loop you get at work, and how you can kind of compare, contrast those things, because I know they're so different.
It's a dangerous thing to mix those things. You can't expect your wife to respond to a per my email response that you send out. I think mine's a little different. We're not as great at the 7:30 bedtimes.
Yeah.
And we're a bit non-traditional in our approach in that we're homeschooling our kids, so I don't have the pickups or the homeworks the way that you do in that way. But I think my challenge becomes turning off the notifications when I get home.
Yeah.
So I come home, I try to get home around 5 at most times, sometimes even earlier. And then it's demanding to be present. It's the ask to play. It's to get outside. At the meantime, I still have subcontractors tagging me in tasks, clients sending emails. It's always a dangerous thing of like, how much do I pick up this while dadding at the same time? But to your point about the previous time, I mean, my current business was built on the backs of grinding till 10:30, 12 at night, and then getting up the next day. A lot of times you get client requests and they go, can we have it tomorrow? And you look at the day and there's no production time in the day to do it, but you have that evening, and you can squeeze that evening out to produce the asset that gets the win. But once you have kids and become a dad, now you're not giving away extra time of yours, you're taking away time from the family.
Yeah.
So that invest your time wisely piece, I think, is as much about a sort of mental health dedication to your family thought of like, okay, what is this time block that I'm in? And is it a mixed use between business and family, or is it just family, or is it just business? And I share with a lot of people, I think the one thing that really helps with that is when I left my salary job to start Destin Wales 7 years ago, I said, I'm not doing a calendar. There's no boss that can make me do a calendar. 3-4 years into that, it's like, I gotta have a calendar. And then we have kids, so like the wife needs to see when I have meetings and when I'm approachable and not. So the one tactic that I find really useful as like a quick takeaway is I do blocks on my calendar that are communication and collaboration and that are production blocks. And during those production blocks, I'm not checking my emails. I'm not checking Slack, Asana, Wrike, Discord. Those are dedicated to creation time. And then I have dad duty times on the calendar where like all my subcontractors can see my calendar. They're not bothering me unless it's urgent during this time. So I think the invest your time wisely comes about knowing when you want to spend that time and what you want to spend it on to a degree.
Yeah, and I think, my dad told me this when I was a kid, and I don't think, again, when you're 22, get started, like at no point do you really understand nor care. Like I made $11 an hour and I thought I was fine. My bills were exactly how much I made, but I was still doing what I wanted to do. But he said there's 3 types of time when you're filling out your calendar. And this is old school, like when you got the old paper, and he's still to this day has that big calendar on his desk. And it's red time, green time, yellow time. So red time, you mark out first. So that's family time. That's workout time. That's things that are going to feed your body and your soul and your mind and all those things, to where then green time's money time. So that could be production. That's when you're making your money, right? So for me, it's when you're making your phone calls. It's when you're in front of a client. It's when you're making your sales. And then it's your yellow time's the admin time. It's the part nobody wants to do. And like, as the guy who preaches people that they need to set their time like aside to get this stuff done, I'm also the worst at like setting aside a time just to do my admin.
Right.
Because I've always got something else that I can tell myself is green time. So, but setting your calendar that way, and then now we have a Skylight calendar. We've got a family Google calendar, and my wife will look at my wife's the one who told me that I had a 1:30 today because I just hadn't made it that far. I got so bad about my calendar that, and I'm sure if you guys use Google Calendar, you probably are the same way, but you have your week that you're in, and you got all your appointments for the week, and you're living in that week, and then it's Friday, and you don't go look at next week yet, or you haven't looked 2 weeks ahead after you already confirmed with somebody else you can do something.
Yep.
So like I wasn't taking a big enough scope of what my year looked like, right? Like I know you've got a really big date on your calendar for your triathlon. I don't have, that's your Musogi moment. Go to, Jesse Itzler, and put your Musogi moments or your big family things on first for the year, circle them, highlight them, never forget them. And then everything else you can back into. I think it's hard to get stuck in the minutia of the day because your notifications are 24 hours a day.
But like, as an entrepreneur, it's a little bit different because it's not a boss that's bugging you to do some work. It's an opportunity that might be knocking. So
it's a bunch of little bosses. That's all clients are. You may get rid of one boss, but you just bought 1,000 new ones.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
The challenge might be like in a salary role, it's like you're getting that paycheck no matter what, right? So like you get to balance that a little more, but this might be a new business opportunity. That's what your green time you're talking about. So those are the moments where that investing your time wisely becomes a harder choice when it's like, ooh, this is a prime lead. I should respond to this quickly versus this is a job that needs done in the next week.
Yeah. And then my dad's, again, I talked about my dad a lot. So like, again, he started this company, we worked together. He's my biggest mentor. And then also the guy I probably like disagree with the most, which I think is probably a healthy relationship for both of us. But he's always said, especially once you hit a certain level and you start to add people to your mix, right? So there's 3 ways to make money. Man at work, that's you, that's me, that's us going to work and getting paid per hour, per salary, whatever that is. Then there's the second way, which is men at work, which is when I hire somebody else and they work on my behalf and I make the split on the margin. And then you got your money, right? So then the last one is your money at work. So when you can put enough shekels to the side that you can put them in the market or you put them into some sort of investment that your money can grow and give you mailbox money that you never think about, the power of compound interest. So where I was going with that is he's always told me that you got to be able to do it, ditch it, or delegate it, but you can't do all 3, right? So I know and you know that we're good in green, right? We know we're good at green. We can control green. So one of the things our pastor talked about this last week, he was talking about patience. And one of the like little quick phrases he said was control is an illusion. So in the business world, when you're really good at what you do, control is easy. You can control the inputs, the outputs, and the outcomes. When you're a dad of little tiny people who don't know how the world works or how gravity works, sometimes you don't get to control the next action. And it pulls you from green time to deal with emergency red time. So we just got back. We did a couple stints we did a stint in the hospital for our first recording that we missed. And then we did Casey popped a tire last week, the day after tax season. And then, I haven't changed a tire in so long. Casey goes, do you know how to change a tire?
Chat GPT.
Yeah, I was like, I know how to change a tire. I was like, this is
Star pattern, right?
I did. My sister lost a tire when we were kids, and it was 100% my fault on her way to Evansville. I didn't tighten the bolts all the way. I was 16. Somebody should have double-checked my work. I'm going to put that back on somebody else. Own your mistakes. But
someone didn't invest their time wisely to teach you that.
But somebody should have just double-checked a 16-year-old kid changing tires. But like when those emergencies pop up, the blessing of being self-employed is that you can reallocate your time immediately. And I know you went through that recently as well. And the first day or like the first time something like that happens, it's so easy to get jaded about that in the moment that you're like, I need to get this done. I need to deal with this. But the prioritization of the investor time wise, I think one of the things that we put in the book was that your calendar is your confession, right? Your calendar is going to show you what your idol is. Money is important. Business is important. Clients and deadlines and all those things are important. But I think as we get older, we have more kids, the more you really have to focus and reframe your brain, even though it's hard because the world is telling you money is important. All these things are important. Status is important. People listening to your new podcast is important, right? And then you just got to reframe your head to say, the most important thing is the people I raise, right? Who they follow. And then how can I get other people to listen to, the good news along the way? And we're blessed, but it wasn't easy. It's still not easy. And I think people from the outside looking in, they go, wow. And they don't see the, struggle along the way.
Well, I think that's also a different way of looking at entrepreneurialism in today's world is it's not all to scale to a certain AIR number so we can sell at a multiple and get out of it. Part of what we're doing is investing our time so we have the leverage to make those choices, to drop everything, to be there for our family and to not have to clear it with anyone. And what an investment that is compared to a W-2 situation where you got to clear with HR to get out of the building and all that stuff. So there's a motivation beyond what you're saying, the calendars, the confessional, the idols you worship. Those dad duties become the most important blocks on the calendar in that way.
Yeah. And I think, the pursuit of those things is the goal. I was meeting with one of my younger guys in my office this last week, and you can't control outcomes most of the time, right? And again, go back to most business owners are control freaks because we don't want to make a mistake. We don't want this to happen. We don't want to have that hard conversation with the client if something doesn't go the way we want. The actions are really, truly the only thing you can control.
Sure. The process.
Yeah. And the pivot points of saying, I messed up, which I've done and I've gotten better about. I'm not necessarily, and my wife, who's probably listening begrudgingly in my living room because I made her sit down and watch this with me, she's probably saying, yeah, he's not good at saying, I'm sorry. And I've gotten better over time of saying, owning it quick, because the more you let something fester, the worse it gets. But owning something quick and just pivot to the best next solution is really, truly all you can do. So talk about, because another piece that I think is super important is we look at investing our time as a holistic human being. How important has health become to you? I know you've been on this big run in the last 12 months. Tell me kind of where you're shifting to and how has it impacted the other portions of your life?
I mean, business up, health up. I think broad picture, it's a good thing. To sum it up in a very sort of business way without getting too woo-woo with it, I think there is a way that you set the expectations of a day when you wake up and the first things you do. And for me, I've decided now it didn't start this way. It started as 2 days a week and then 3 days a week and then 4 days a week. And now I'm in this insane race prep. So I'm 6 days a week cardio at the moment. And most times those are 4:45 a.m. alarm clocks, and I'm in the gym by 5:36. And I think when you start the day with like, I'm deciding to get X done and I'm going to accomplish it, it sets a tone for the rest of the day and sets an expectation of like productivity. And it's way harder to get caught up in the, ooh, this is going to be a bad day. Oh, what a rough day I have. And it more puts you in the sort of perpetual motion of today we're getting things done. And I think that's been a real helpful. I mean, also it's easier to move through the day when you're sub 40 pounds.
Yeah.
You know, it's a little lighter. I think the meals, they fuel you a different way, and that total thing becomes that investment in the same way.
Yeah. That's probably your biggest investment, right, is your body. So I think one of the chapters we wrote is called Health is Wealth. And I will say this to anyone listening, as a dad of 4 with a 3-month-old and a 2-year-old who lived in a camper all of 2023, who has had a home gym and has plenty of equipment, I've pretty much sucked at working out. Here's this. You see this physique? I was just born this way.
He's got a metabolism.
I can't help it. My wife hates it. I can eat anything I want, and I look the exact same since I was 22 years old. Technically, when I work out, I'm about 20 pounds heavier than I am right now because I just more muscle mass and stuff like that. So again, in my head, I tell myself, and it's so hard not to get into this, like the failure mentality and just like, it just builds. It's like finding the time at this point in my life with a little baby who doesn't sleep and a wife who's at home with 4 kids. She wants me to be healthy, right? She wants me to live a long, healthy life because she knows I'm better when I'm in that frame of mind. I've put it by the wayside because I've reorganized. I'm really good at dad time, right? But it's hard to spend an hour lifting weights if you've got 4 people under the age of 6.
Yep.
And I also suck at waking up at 4:45 in the morning. And that's a thing that I need to either make that conscious decision that says, this is what we're going to do. Heck, I bought a sauna 4 weeks ago, still not put together. It's tax season, so I will give myself a small break there. I did hire somebody. They'll come
If
up
it's not
this
put
weekend.
together by the next time you record, you might have a problem.
Correct. It should be put together this week. If it's put together this week, the sauna is a good way for me to at least get hot, sweaty, and like tell myself that hour alone, right? To like reframe my mind. It's usually where I read my Bible on my phone because until it overheats. And then I'll just sit there quietly with my own thoughts, which is a dangerous thing. It's where I actually wrote the original Invest Your Time Wisely book, was in the sauna, just typing away. And those moments feel selfish.
Dude.
Because I know that my wife would kill for an hour alone for herself, and she just doesn't get it. And trying to be okay with taking that time for yourself, that investment in yourself, right? You're not going to see market appreciation in it, but you're going to see compounding growth long term. And I think it's going to start to affect all the things you do.
It's cool to watch the kids want to exercise now.
Nice.
It's hard to tell my 5-year-old that she can't go on an hour-long jog with me, but it's not the time for her, but she's enthused about that. I also think the early thing is like, that's the time where they're sleeping, right? So I'm not taking time from them. That's the whole thing. I can totally understand what you're saying with that, especially on Sundays. Sundays are my distance days where I'm like running or biking for 2 to 3 hours on those. And I try my best to come back before 9 a.m. So like you're saying, hopefully the kids haven't been up for too long. The wife hasn't had to do that solo too much. But again, I think in the idea of promoting entrepreneurialism is like, if it's your business, you get to set that schedule. And that's an investment that might not be the cash you could make somewhere else, but it's the freedom and the leverage of your own entity that you get to choose what to do with.
Yeah. And then it feeds into the other things you do, truly, because the better you feel, the better you work, you know, the happier the client, the more the referrals, the more green time in your pocket.
I think a great thing to maybe close on here a little bit or hit a third chapter here is the investment part. Like you might not see those returns for a while is what you're starting to talk to me about, right? That investment of choosing to wake up at 4:45 a.m., choosing to block your calendar a certain way, choosing to communicate in a certain way. All those might take a long time to compound. So there's an investment strategy that's sort of optimistic about the future to even begin to invest. So for you, where does that like sense of positivity and willingness to invest come from?
truly it's the rule of 72, right? Like you want to go straight back to like true investment thesis. Is the rule of 72 says that, the market doubles, as long as you're consistently putting your money into the market, it doubles every 7 years. So if you want to double your output, right, it's going to take a long time. And it's going to be those consistent drips, right? You see those, I'm sure you've seen them on the internet where it's, the constant drip on a rock.
Yeah.
Slowly over 1 million years erodes this rock to where now you create these large, caverns and everything else. And most people, including myself, it is so easy to get stuck in today and not be able to reallocate that energy and dollars into where you want to be. That's the fatal flaw of all human beings, right? Because, emergency equals urgency.
Yeah.
And again, I think going back to this last message that we learned at church this last week, he was talking about just that patience is the ultimate blessing. And just because, and I'll read this to you because I don't want to screw this up for Aaron Brockett in case he's watching. All right, I got lots of notes in here. Faith doesn't have to be perfect, just persistent. And your interruption may be someone else's miracle. So just because it's not happening right away doesn't mean you're being overlooked. It doesn't mean it's not working. It just means you got to be persistent.
Yeah.
And you think about entrepreneurship, you think about life. I mean, we're going to be here for a long time. That's just the way it works, is you want to be able to be persistent in your pursuits every single day for the long term. Where do you see yourself in 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years? What do you want your kids to say about you? In the background, I've got this little picture book, Our Great Adventure, of when I took my giant billboard cutout of my grandparents from their 50th wedding anniversary, and I took it on this big trip out west because they never got to go. Right, they were raising babies, working at GM. My grandmother was a general manager at McDonald's for 30 years, and they didn't go experience things because the world just wasn't open to them the same way it is today.
Yeah.
Right. So if I can tell myself, like, I want to be at 50 the same way that their grandkids looked at them, right, and they didn't have all the access we have today. What a blessing, right? Like, we have such an opportunity. It's just, what do we put in every single day is going to come out on the back end.
Which you might not realize that for a while, which is your patience thing.
At the end of the day, you may not realize it at all.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So to land the plane, guys, I think where we're going with the Invest Your Time Wisely podcast is we want to meet with people who feel burnout, overlooked, people who are stuck, trying to do all things for all people, as opposed to doing something for themselves that will set themselves up for the long term. Entrepreneurs, dads, moms, everyone runs into this. There's 24 hours in a day. The investment truly is going to compound over time, and we're right there along with you, making the same mistakes. And we only hope that at some point we all can realize that we're just trying to get better.